Again, the only difference between yesterday and today, we're going to prove a part of a triangle is congruent, and we know that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, and we're going to use CP/CTC as a reason. Everybody had a chance to get a copy, because we're going to go to the first example. Example 1. No different than yesterday. What's the first thing we are going to put down? I'm going to write in the given information. They gave me angle KBC was congruent to angle ACB. When they give you two things as being congruent, make sure that you mark them in your picture as being congruent. That would be angle 3 and angle 5 that they're talking about. They also said angle K was congruent to angle A. And again, I'm going to make sure that I mark those two pieces as being congruent. Now, what they'd like me to prove is they'd like me to prove that KB is congruent to AC. But in order to do that, I've got to show that these two triangles are congruent first. In order to show that these two triangles are congruent, there needs to be more information, because all I have right now are two angles. What can we add in our statement and reasons? Jordan?
Line BC is congruent to line BC.
Very good. Because of what? Reflexive. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that as being congruent. Is there enough information now to state that the two triangles are congruent? By what reason? It would be by angle, angle, side. Again, the order of this first triangle really doesn't matter. I'm going to go KBC. That does determine the order of the second triangle. If I went KBC from 2 marks to 1 to none, I've got to go ACB. Okay? Somebody said to go to question? Yeah? I do. I'm not quite done. I had to show that these two triangles are congruent before I could state that these two are congruent. Please notice, KB, the first two letters of the triangle. AC, the first two letters of the triangle. In other words, they're in the same corresponding place, aren't they? What do we know about corresponding parts of triangles? They're congruent. CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So, this is what we did yesterday. This is the only thing that is new for today. We're adding that one extra piece. That answer your question?
That's all.
That's the only thing that's different. Okay? We're going to go to the next example. Everybody ready? Example 2. I start out with the given information. Again, if they've given you something, make sure that you take the time to make the mark in your picture. BA was the same as DA. They also said CA was the same as EA, and I'm going to mark those as well. Is there enough information to show that the two triangles are congruent at this point? Not quite. I only have what? Two sides. What additional thing could I state? Adika? I could state the vertical angles. That's going to be the reason. Be careful when you're naming them. I can't call it angle A because there's more than one angle there. I'm going to go angle CAB. All that's important is A is in the middle. It could have been BAC. Is congruent to EAD. Again, all that's important is that A is the vertex, so it's in the middle. This could have been DAE. Are my triangles congruent now? By what reason? Side, angle, side. And again, the order of this first triangle does not matter. I'm going to go CAB. And if I go CAB, then on the other triangle I have to go, if I go CAB, I have to go EAD. Now, what they asked me to prove was that angle C was congruent to angle E. Notice where C was. Notice where E is in my congruence statement. Are they in the same place? They are corresponding parts then. So corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CPCTC. Everybody okay with example 2? Example 3. Obviously, I'm starting with TRS and TRL, right angles. And angle RTS is congruent to angle RTL. This was given. And I'm going to mark those in my picture. RTS congruent to RTL. They told me that these were right angles. Did they tell me that these two right angles were congruent to each other? They are, but don't I have to state it? Yeah. Okay. So, angle TRS is congruent to angle TRL. Why? All right angles are congruent. I'd now have two angles. What's missing? A side, specifically RT or TR is congruent to, and the property and I'm going to mark it. Are the two triangles congruent? By angle, side, angle, angle, then the side, then the angle. Again, the order doesn't really matter. I'm going to go TSR. If I go TSR, I've got to go TLR. What they asked me to prove was that RS was the same as RL And notice that RS and RL are in the same place. So they are congruent by CPCTC. Everybody okay with example 3? Example 4 then. Segment AB, congruent to segment AC. I'm going to mark those. M is a midpoint. That's one that we haven't dealt with yet, but we should know what it means. If M is a midpoint of BC, I know that I want to use its definition over here. Definition of midpoint. I don't know that. They look like it, but I don't know that. I could prove it eventually. What do I know if M is a midpoint, though? Yeah?
That line BM and CM are
Very good. That segment BM is congruent to segment CM by the definition of midpoint. Is there enough information at this point to state that the triangles are congruent yet?
Yeah.
What's missing? I need to state that AM or MA is congruent to now. Is there enough information? What's the reason? I have side, side, side. Again, the order of the first triangle doesn't matter. I'm going to say BAM, B-A-M. And if I use BAM, what's it congruent to? CAM, C-A-M. They wanted me to prove that angle ABM is congruent to angle ACM. And again, if I look, ABM, middle, first, last. This goes middle, first, last. Are they corresponding parts? Yes. So this would be CPCTC. Now, there is some information that's missing on your worksheet. It does not tell you what to prove. Here is the list of what you need to prove for each one of those 7 problems.